welcome back to my channel. Today you're catching me in the midst of cutting out lots of patterns. I'm kind of on a batch cutting spree here, doing a lot of things, but I also want to make this really cute top in the Fibre Mood magazine for my daughter. So this is the Fibre Mood magazine that I'm talking about. They have lots of patterns in here, if you see there. And there's several kids patterns. So the one I'm going for is Cory. So they have pictures of what Cory looks like on the kids here. And since this is a really simple pattern and I'm pretty much going to trace it out and do it from scratch, like I don't have the AO and it doesn't have seam allowances, I wanted to share it with you so that you could follow along. So basically, when you get a Fibre Mood magazine, all the patterns are in here. They don't have any seam allowances built in, so you have to add them yourself, and you have to trace them, and they're kind of drawn over each other, so you kind of have to find the right color and trace over them. Seems daunting, but I've done it, and it's really not that big a deal. So what we want to make today, or what I want to make today, is this shirt right here on page 65. So this is where it tells you each pattern has a checklist, and the checklist for the one I want to make is on page 65. All right, so this one says Cory, ages 2 to 14. So my daughter is almost 11, so she'll fit nicely into this size. And so it's telling me, you know, the finished garment measurements, the supplies I need, the pattern pieces, fabric advice, like what kind of fabric I should use. And then it has a drawing of all the pieces. First thing I need to do is find the sheet that this pattern is on with all the patterns that are in here. So what you can do is there are pictures here of the patterns that are in here to trace, and I found the one for the kids, which was right here, and it has a picture of the garment that you're making, which is right here. It has a list of all the pattern pieces you're going to need, and it has what pattern sheet it's on. So it's on pattern sheet E. Okay, so when you're looking at all these pattern sheets, they're still attached in here. You're looking through all of these. I am going to find E. There's D, and there's E. If you see, there's an E in the upper right hand corner. So this is pattern sheet E. So I am going to gently pull it out without ripping too much of it. It's joined with staples at the middle here. And I'm going to, since I know it's only on that pattern sheet, I'm going to close this magazine up, put it out of the way. Now I've got my pattern. So I will need to trace it. So it's only on this sheet because the other side is E, but it's a blue E, and this one is green like it was in the picture before in the upper right hand corner. So it's only going to be on this side, and then I can see that my pattern pieces are going to be in green because this little key here says Cory, which is the name of the pattern I want to do, and it has like green lines for all the different sizes. So if you can see the different sizes there. So I've got my tracing paper, and I'm going to pick out a piece to start tracing. They're all overlapping each other, so you've got to keep the size in your mind and what it looks like so you don't like jump over to another size. So Emma is turning 11, so I will make the size 12. Alrighty. Okay, so before I tell you why I picked that size, I want to show you something very important. At the back of the magazine, there is a size chart, and so she is pretty much between a 10 and the 12 for the chest size, which I feel like is most important. And her waist is like way smaller, but it's fine. It's like a loose shirt. And I want the length of the size 12, so that's why I'm picking 12. So here we go. I'm going to use my ruler to help me out. Now, as I said before, there are no seam allowances, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just going to trace the pattern without seam allowances. And this is the size 12 is the solid line, so that is really helpful. And I'm going to do this while I am talking to you guys so you can see how it's not a big deal and it does not take that long. And as this is going to be a knit shirt, it doesn't have to be completely exact. I mean, you need to be accurate, but this is not extremely fitted, and it's going to have some give naturally because it's going to be made out of knit. So this is piece 2, so I'm writing down a 2, and I'm writing down that it needs to be cut on the fold because you need to write down all that information. I'm going to put my notches in here, make sure there's no other notches or things that I need, and I think that's it. So that piece is already traced. There usually is a label to what piece it is in words on most pattern pieces, but on this one it's more just a number, and then the number will correspond to a number on the instructions, and then you'll know, okay, 2 is the back or 2 is the front. Like, it'll tell you in the instructions, so you don't need to worry about that right now. So I'm gonna move my tracing paper over. I see that the sleeve is right here, so I'm gonna start tracing the sleeve. Again, very simple. I'm not worrying about seam allowances right now. I am just tracing a pattern, simple and easy, no makeup. Couldn't be bothered today. By the way, I hardly ever say this because I never remember to and I never have time, but I am wearing a shirt that I have made, and it is a I Am Patterns I Am Zebra sweatshirt. So, and this is See You at 6 fabric, which I absolutely adore, and I got the fabric from Mossy Fabrics, which I also absolutely adore. She usually gets a lot of See You at 6 in when a new collection comes out. So, I'm sorry, I should say Liana and James, because that is who owns the Mossy Fabrics. So you can know the name. All right, so I've got the sleeve traced. I put a double notch at the back, single notch at the front like they have on here. This is piece number 3. It's in green. There's also a number 5 here, but it's in red, so that's not for this piece, okay? And so this is number 3. That's the grain line that I see clearly next to the number. Typically, they will put the number right next to the grain line. There's no more notches that I need. So that is good. So now I've got my sleeve. Now, like I was saying before, normally pattern pieces will tell you cut to, you know, all that information on the pattern piece. I'm kind of glad it's not on here because that would be very distracting and it would be hard to differentiate that between different pattern pieces when they're all laying on top of each other. And so they basically just put a number and you get all the information of how many pieces you need to cut and what you need to do on the actual pattern instructions on an information sheet about the pattern. So, and can I just say that I absolutely love the style of their kids' patterns. They are so modern and they're just perfect for the age that my daughter's at right now. Like, she's not really into the patterns that are for the little kids, and she's not really big enough to wear my size. So this is so great, and I love how it goes up to size 14, because once you're at size 14, I feel like after that you can pretty much wear adult patterns most of the time. And that's great because then there's no gap. Like, you don't have to worry about, well, what are they going to wear in between? Or am I going to have to size up everything to fit my daughter that doesn't fit in my size but doesn't fit in kid size? So right here I'm putting the grain line, putting that piece number 1, and it's on the fold. There are also some little squares here that let's see, are showing, I think, where the pocket's gonna go. And so I'm looking for the size that I need to mark. So this is a solid line square, and here's another solid line, because a solid line matches up to size 12, which is what I'm making. And then here is the notch. I think that is all. Basically looking for everything green. Here's another notch. I think I might have missed that one over here, but it's just joining the front and back side seams, so I don't really worry about those notches. I know where that goes. I know the front and back side seams combined, so. Now before, when I wasn't as experienced, I would have been questioning that, but. All right, so now I've got the pocket piece. Oh, and that's very tiny. So I have, so it's kind of hard, but I try to fit everything in as little tracing paper as I can. So here's the pocket piece, which is simple. I'm not even going to use a ruler for it. It's pretty easy. There is a notch here, a notch here, and here is the grain line, which I have traced perfectly straight, which is very odd. I normally don't do that. Normally not that perfect. And so, perfect. Now, okay, so there's, now that I have all my pieces, this is where the magic happens. I've traced all my pieces. I have 4 pieces. They're all labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. Putting my pattern to the side for now. Double checking that my pattern only has 4 pieces, because that's all I found on the green sheet. And it does, just 4 pieces. So the pattern is telling me here on these pictures how much seam allowance to add on each part of the pattern, okay? So we need to pay attention to that. And so in order to help myself, since I'm showing this to you and I'm going to go a little bit slower, I'm going to write it down on here so that when I'm cutting this out and adding seam allowances onto my pattern pieces, that I will be like, it will be a little reminder to myself to remember what the seam allowance is there, because it's different in all the areas. So at the neckline here, it's 1/2 centimeter. The shoulder, it's a centimeter, centimeter, a centimeter. Nothing on the fold, that's normal. Let's see, the sleeve has like a centimeter everywhere, centimeter, centimeter, and the bottom is 3. This one piece is a centimeter, 1/2 centimeter, basically a centimeter all the way around, except for the hem and the neckline. The neckline is 2.5. I'm sorry, 0.5, and the hem is 2.5, and the sleeve hem is 3. So it's 2.5, and the pocket piece is also 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Okay, so this is going to help me so I don't get lost. All right, so what I'm going to do now, instead of tracing, measuring, do all that craziness, I'm going to get a measuring device. And I'm going to see how many of these equals a centimeter. Okay, so it's exactly, so it seems like each of them is 2 millimeters, because it's exactly, no, they're less than 2 millimeters, because it's exactly 6 equals a centimeter. Yep, about 6 of these equals a centimeter. And so that's easy because 3 is 1/2. What I'm going to do is go to all the places that have 1 centimeter seam allowances, and I'm going to cut the pattern out while making sure that I am leaving my rotary cutter at least 1 centimeter away, which is the width of these things. And so as I'm cutting the pattern pieces here, and I'm cutting here, so I'm 1 centimeter away because of these things. And since I have them in 3 spots, as it rolls, there's always one that's close to the pattern. So, oh, and you always, excuse me, you always have to be cutting this way so that you can have these close to the pattern. So I'm continuing on here. Can't go this way, I have to go around. keep going. You always have to have the pattern piece on your left if you're going to be cutting out the pattern like this. You have to excuse me, I was a little bit off there. Now this can be a little bit stressful and may not be as accurate as measuring, but it works for me and I like it. So since I have done all the 1 centimeter parts there, I'm going to do this one. Make sure I have a nice point. And let's see. And then sometimes I can just use my left hand so I don't have to come all the way around. Just make sure you're careful. And this, I didn't cut all the way. And then remember the top had no seam allowance. So you're cutting it right on the edge. So there's your pocket piece. Let's see here. So this top neckline is only half a centimeter. So I'm going to just look at that one to cut the neckline. And then I'm going to go back to 1 centimeter and do this neckline as well since I got it off. And I'm going to go back to 1 centimeter, so I'm going to pop those back on there and cut 1 centimeter seam allowance there. Continue on. Now, like I said, this is not the most accurate you could be, okay? The most accurate you could be would be to actually measure and like draw the seam allowance. But, and remember this is the fold, so there's no seam allowance. You're just cutting in on the fold. Alright. This is a knit shirt and it's for my daughter and it's gonna fit her. No matter probably what seam allowance I use, so I think it will be fine. So here, and I hope this helps a lot of you not be quite as scared, because I know for sure in the US it's not really common for us to trace our patterns, and I was a little bit defeated by it at first, but then I came to realize that it's really not a big deal. It does take a little bit extra time, but it's okay. All right, so since the hems are different, I'm not going to use this, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the hems. Here's my pencil. I'm going to measure out 3 centimeters and mark it. I don't want to put that many magnets on my rotary cutter. So don't forget to keep the seam allowances that you're going to have going there. So there's my hem. I am going to cut, keeping the seam allowance, I'm going to cut down to the hem that I've just drawn, keeping 1 centimeter seam allowance, and then I've drawn enough lines to where I don't need a ruler, and I will just cut across there, and that's my sleeve piece. She needs a little bit extra cutting there. Don't quite get to the edge. Alright, so I've got my sleeve piece. Close my blade, and I'm going to cut right on the hem that I've just drawn. And that is my, let's see, that is my front piece. This is my back piece. Cutting along here, keeping the seam allowance, I mean that's the fold, excuse me, but over here I'm keeping the seam allowance on the edge. This is my back piece. And voila, I have all my pieces, all my seam allowances included, and that did not take long at all. Now, Fibre Mood has it to where you can order PDFs and you can order the AOs, and I did do that for a trench coat that I made recently because there's so many pieces and I thought it was worth it. I do have a subscription where you can just get the PDFs, you can select a few PDFs, or you can get the magazine, and then you can pick a couple of extra PDFs. There's a subscription like that as well. for a small amount extra. So for the big patterns, I will just get the PDF, print the AO at a copy shop, and then I can just cut it out. And it has the seam allowances included. So there's still an option if this makes you cringe. But for this shirt, I wasn't going to order the PDF because it took me, you saw how long it took me to do, hardly any time at all. So my daughter's going to love it. I can't wait to make it, and I can't wait to show you guys all the pictures. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is me all for today. I just wanted to get you past the fear of working and tracing with Fibre Mood. Now, if you're in Europe, you're probably laughing at me because this is what you do over there, and it's no big deal. But for some of us are a little bit afraid. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I have another video. And that's about it. Have a great day. Bye.